well, let's get to it, shall we? Let's preview the final. Jules, we'll start with you on this one because it is a rematch of the last Women's World Cup final. I was there down under in Sydney where the Spanish took down the English. It was a high-flying England as well. And now here we go. We're still talking about a high-flying England who may not have been playing the best football that the Lionesses have been known to play, but they still get the job done, Jules, fighting. And that's exactly what tournament football really is about. Choosing your moments, fighting, getting gritty, even if it's not the beautiful, perfect game that we all planned for. Looking back at 2023 and the final, both Spain and both England, in terms of how both teams have grown, Jules, who do you think has a slight edge going into this one?
I think it has to be Spain, and it has been 2 difficult years, obviously, for everything that happened after that triumph in Australia and that World Cup win for them. But look at them now. They are by far the best team in the world. And Ali said it, they just have so much talent individually and collectively. And it's hard to see how you just stop them. You can stop them by being so disciplined and organized. But at some point, somebody's going to do something special, and that's going to undo you. You're going to try to play like them and leave too many space, and they're going to punish you for it and hit you in transition with their passing, with their mobility, with their transition, everything. So I think it's very difficult. England, I don't think are as good as they were 2 years ago. I don't think they are as good as they were at the last Euros either. I think you're right, Alexis. They have quality in the sense that they don't give up and they keep going and keep going. But they also have been quite fortunate, I think, to get that far in this tournament. They haven't been great. I saw them against France on their opening game, and they were poor for most of that game, really. So I just personally don't see how they can compete with Spain. And I think unless Spain make big mistakes or don't take their chances or maybe are not at their best because of nerves or expectations and finally winning their first Euros ever, I just don't see how they can stop them.
Ali, do you feel like there's more pressure on Spain to win this one than England? Because as Jules said, all of the storylines just heading into this Euros has been about Spain suffering heartbreak at the Olympics last year too, getting into this one. All the players like Aitana Bonmatí as well as Alexia Putellas talking about how they want this one. Don't think that just because they have the World Cup, the Euros doesn't mean that much to them. They absolutely want to win this one. So more pressure for England, or considering the storylines as well following Serena Wigman and, as Jules said, probably an aging Lionesses team, a changing of the guard, or would you see more pressure on Spain?
I think there's more pressure on Spain, right, to just complete the tournament as well as they've been playing and as good as they have been in recent years, and how confident they are and motivated to win their title in Europe. And it's been since 1997. So, reaching the final even. And then I do think there's extra motivation on this tournament because they were kind of overshadowed by the harassment after they won the World Cup. And it was more so about that topic rather than actually winning and really getting what they deserve and being celebrated for that. It was kind of overshadowed by all of that harassment and issue that was within the Spanish Federation. So I'm happy now that they have an opportunity to, have their moment potentially and win and really be celebrated the way that they should have been after the World Cup. And so this is just a repeat of that. And I think that this is a moment that they can really take as long as they put the pieces together, they have the right personnel, they continue to stay patient in whatever they, however they are going to come out and play and their game plan, because it's been working and they stayed patient all throughout the game versus Germany. And then in the end, they were rewarded with that patience and that collective team performance. So as long as they stay to their game plan, they stay confident in who they are, and they have that extra motivation now wanting to win, and they're finally back in the Euro final. So it's a lot of pressure for them. But the way that they've been playing and the players who they have and the depth that they have and the substitutions that they can make, they should be, coming in forces, to the max against England. And England, the way that they've been playing, I don't think that, much will change in the lineup. So the substitutions have to be ready to go and be firing towards the end as soon as they get their opportunity. I don't know if Serena Wigman is really going to change much in this match just because it's a final, or especially because it's a final. So Spain have the pressure, but England have have to be more prepared and play a lot better than they have been in the last few games this tournament.
Yeah, and look, England in the Euros, we know they don't necessarily have a point to prove, Jules. They are the defending champions for a reason. But there has been a lot of talk in the last 4 years, especially at this tournament. So you do feel, considering you live in England, you definitely would know what the chatter is surrounding Sarina Wiegman, the part that 50% or a lot of people want to hold on to that Euros women's team, even though a couple of players have retired since, but want to hold on to that identity because it worked so well in the last Euros. But we have been talking about how people figure you out after time, and we've seen more and more teams figuring out England and pushing them to the brink and them leaving it late and having to call for fresh legs like Michelle Adjumant, so seeing as well Chloe Kelly coming off of the bench. So everyone asking for Sarina Wiegman to make some changes. We know she's not going to, and that's fine. But how much does she need to win this final before people start really questioning her and her identity, and if it's time for England to move on from what we saw 4 years ago?
Yeah, I think they are questioning her already. I think you can see it both ways. You can see, okay, her substitutions have worked because look how many, the 2 games that England won late, thanks to subs. I thought in the semi-final, Adjumant came on far too late. I thought Chloe Kelly came on far too late, and England could have won that game against Italy way earlier if she had got the substitutions earlier and right. And I don't think Wiegman has been good this tournament. Overall, I think she took far too long against France, for example, in the opening game to react to what she was seeing and the game that we were all watching. And it has been like that for me through this whole tournament. Okay, they're in the final. That's her 3rd final in a row. In terms of Euros, which is incredible. The one with the Dutch that she won, the one with England that she won, and then this one. And she can potentially do the 3-peat, which would be incredible. I give her that. But I just don't think she's been that great, really. And I think the one area especially that hasn't worked is the midfield, Walsh and Stanway with Toon or Lauren James in the first game. And if there's one thing you have to get right against Spain is your midfield. Because Patry, Putellas, and Bonmati are going to kill you if you're not ready in that midfield. And right now, unless you're changing something, the Stanway Walsh kind of double pivot with whoever plays as a 10, for me, would not work against this Spanish team. But let's see what she does. And she still has a few days to prepare for it, and she can come up with something tactically that will help her team. Or it won't be the case, and I think that could be a very long night for England.
Yeah, what do you think about what Jules said there about those midfield questions for England? Because I think a few years ago, or even just a year or 2 ago, I think anybody anywhere would have taken Keira Walsh in their midfield now. But in terms of how she is being paired now with Georgia Stanway, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I was thinking of that key matchup, right, in midfield in the central 3, and how that is going to be such a battle with Bonmati, Patry, Alexis Nunes against, Walsh, who's, a little bit older, and she's been playing every minute of every game. And Beth Mead can kind of come in if Stanway, is lacking that pace or the legs to go the full 90, which she had a positive effect on the game last match, where she drew the soft PK as we saw, but it ended up being the key in England's win. So, there are a few other options there. And then, Ella Toon, she comes in, she's been brilliant. I don't know if, there's going to be any changes up top. We've spoken about that, yesterday after the match, and wondering if she's going to make those changes for the final. Like we said before, I just think their aerial power might have, an advantage over the Spanish midfield, but technically, tactically, just the vision and the knowledge aspect on that level, it's going to be a lot of work for England to really shut down Patry and Putellas and Bonmati, and getting in and around, combining consistently. The way that they've been playing has just been out of this world and unmatched. So they're going to have their hands full. And then you have your fullbacks, right? The Spanish fullbacks coming forward, getting into the attack, and which also causes a problem where, that'll hopefully keep Greenwood and Bronze busy, which then will have another whole other layer of an effect for England to have to defend. So the aerial power on set pieces could be their advantage, but Spain's, passing and vision and ability to just combine in small spaces, even create numbers up wide in those areas, I think are going to cause a lot of problems. So England will have to make sure that they are consistent in their build out and are able to keep possession as well and defend as a unit rather than individually. Because if they are caught 1v1 around the field and out of shape, and their compactness gets disjointed, then they're going to have real issues.
Jules, just a question too, because again, questioning what does Sarina Wiegman have to do in this one? Just the Lauren James question as well. We spoke about it a little bit with Ali and Mark Ogden, who you always know is just a breath of positivity. But he did point out that, yes, nobody's saying that Lauren James is not that girl for England 100%. She's that X factor for them when she's 100%. But when she's not, even if she's 99%, she doesn't necessarily have the same impact that England need in these big moments. We saw it just as well yesterday in the semifinal where she had to be taken off. Also knowing that she may still have that niggle, may still have that injury. What does Sarina Wiegman do? Does she play her? Does she start her?
The only problem is she's not a super sub. She's not the kind of player that comes on for the last 20 minutes or 15 minutes because she's not really fully fit. And has that kind of impact on the game, I think she needs to start. It's where you start her, how you start her. And again, I think it's difficult sometimes for her if the team around her is not performing well, because she's by far the best technical player in this England team. By far, she could easily play for Spain and combine with everybody else in that Spanish team. With England, it's different. The rest are not really at her level. And I just think if there's no options around her, if there's not enough movement around her, if she can't really find the pass that she needs or that she wants or that even she sees that others don't see, then you take a lot away from her game. So, and that's why, again, I think Wiegman hasn't really been able to find a solution to this issue, on this problem. And I'm not saying Lauren James is a problem. The problem is how you put Lauren James in the best environment for her to perform at her best. Whether she's 100% or 90, 80%, it doesn't matter so much. She's still your best player. And I think Wiegman has really struggled to put her in the right environment to be able to deliver. She did against the Dutch, but again, I'm not sure how good the Dutch really were in this tournament. So for the final, if she starts Lauren James, I think she needs to find, again, the right formula to get the best out of her, because we haven't really seen it so far.
Yeah, Ali, what do you think on that?
Yeah, I completely agree. I do think she has to start, right? But I do agree with how her style of play is more like the Spanish style of play, where she doesn't love to defend. She doesn't love to run too much, right? And she's really good in those tight spaces, like a Kat Macario in the 10, right? You can give her the ball in any kind of space and she can collect it. She can bring it down. Her technical ability is unmatched, and she's able to then combine in those smaller spaces. But you're not going to get her to run in behind. You're not going to get her, fighting for end line and having to, serve crosses in. She's the one that's going to be on the end of crosses. She's going to, be the creator in the middle of the park, where she's going to cut in and get close in and around the 18 to be able to create opportunities. So as long as they stay compact, she does have to start. And then Chloe Kelly can come on just like she has been later on if she can't go the full 90 plus, however long it's going to take for them to win. But she has to start, and then Chloe Kelly can fill in the rest of the match if that is the case and if it's needed. But England have to stay compact and can't allow Spain to, move between the lines, right, and break lines with their passes. And I think they just have to be direct and purposeful, right? They have to take advantage of their aerial presence on set pieces and be able to win the ball back as quickly as possible. Once they regain it, then they have to keep that possession, because it's once you win the ball back from the Spanish team, then you have to take a breath and you have to be willing to commit to be that consistent in the possession style game, because you're going to be working so hard off the ball defending that you're not going to have a lot of that energy wanting to go forward immediately. So you have to be patient. And then Spain, obviously, just play their game. They need to keep that patience and that possession that they showed against Germany and the other teams, throughout this tournament, and play their style no matter how the opponent sets up, no matter how England will set up defensively, especially being in a low block, right? When you move England side to side, that's when you see those holes open up, and that's when they need to take advantage of that. But I think they just have to watch for England transitions, which is where James could, hurt you in the middle of the park, because those quick counters could be pretty lethal. And then use the depth, right? Like they have been on the flanks, because that's where they found success, especially on the goal with Bonmati. And they could change the game off the bench with a lot of their depth. So it's going to be a brilliant match. It's going to be a back and forth, but ultimately England have to stay committed to their compactness and to their confidence in the style of play that they know that they can come out and perform. And then Spain they have to continue to do what they do, but be careful on, getting everybody forward, because England does, can get you in behind and beat you in those lethal areas.
Yeah. All right. Well, final thoughts, Jules. What are you looking forward to in this one?
I think the contrast in style to start with, to see how England do, if they can really try to compete, and what's the plan really. I want to see a plan. I just don't want England to play deep and then try to play long on Russo or on Hemp and just don't really have a plan. I want them to have a plan. If Lauren James starts, I want her to come in. I want them to try to disturb this Spanish machine that has been so good and so conquering. And then for Spain, I just want them to play like they usually do, because then we'll have a great final. If England have a plan and Spain are at their best and play their football, then we should have a great game, like Ali just said, and then may the best win. I think the best would be Spain.
Oh, England and long balls. That's a match made in heaven since the 1960s. Ali, what about you? What are you most looking forward to in this one before we wrap?
I just want to see this such a great matchup, right? These are two incredible teams in Europe, two of obviously the best teams in Europe who have fought their way through to the final, and now is your moment to shine. It is the best platform and the pinnacle of your sport to play in the European tournament, one of the best tournaments and the best tournament in Europe. And this is an opportunity for you to shine. This is another opportunity for you to go out there and, play in a match that you've worked your entire life for. So I hope, I know, because we've been in this position where you have everything to play for, and this is the moment to shine. And so I hope we just see, the biggest players on the biggest stage make the biggest plays, and just enjoy the match. And I'm assuming Spain is gonna take everything, but England, has that mentality, and they've proven it game after game. So with that mentality and that brilliant, beautiful Spanish style that we've seen over the years, it's going to be an incredible game, and I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, lots on the line for both. It could be a revenge match for England, and it could be a chance for Spain to make even more history, because Lord knows they have done such a good job of that. Jules, Ali, thank you so much for hanging with me for this one. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We will be back right here after the final. It's England versus Spain for the Women's Euro title this Sunday.